Okay, welcome to Swing Trading with Cycles channel. We're going to do an update on cannabis today. Really, we're going to focus on grow generation because that actually seems to be bucking the trend. We will look at cannabis more broadly to get a sense of like what the bigger picture looks like. And so we did have this little green week, the week of October 3rd. And you can see we gave back a lot of the rally. You know that because of this upper wick. And oh, by the way, this is MJ, ticker symbol MJ. This is the ETF MJ Alternative Harvest ETF. And we are in this November 21st. And so we had this, we had this little, sort of up week, October, and really the low of that week for this was 458. The week before that, the low was also 458. So it was like a double bottom situation. But again, we gave back a lot of the rally. But then you can see we've worked our way higher, and this is your weekly chart. We'll see how that looks on the daily. Problem is, we have still yet to go above this high. We're still below that, so that's interesting. Are we still heading there? And B, more concerning, we are now flirting with last week's low, right? You want to make sure you're not making lower lows, meaning a low below the previous candle's low. And that's what we're doing right now, right? So the low of last week was 560, and we're now here at 558, just 2 cents below. So we're gonna want to watch for that, because if that could persist, that is what we call a swing high, right? And if you don't know what a swing high is, you should definitely check out the video. You'll see a link in the upper right hand corner, should pop up around now. Definitely check that out. That's how you know something is topping either on the short or the long term. And, you use multiple time analysis to figure out, that difference. And this is your, excuse me. And this is your 200-day moving average, this yellow line here. So we're nowhere near that. I mean, that's right here above $15. And it's obvious, and it's moving lower. So it will come down to meet us. So it certainly seems like there's no bottom for this thing. And if you look at what that looks like on the monthly chart, you have this green month, right? And it actually did make a slight higher high above this one, but it gave it back. That's what that upper wick. An upper wick is always a pullback on the lower time frame. And here in November, we actually just find ourselves as an inside month, right? We're like firmly inside the range of October, right? And based on the shape of this candle, December is going to open inside the range of November. So we're going to have an inside month, probably at the lower end of the range for November, which is to say the December candle, just to be clear, would open like, something, it's going to be something like that, right? So it's going to be inside the November candle, which is already inside the October candle, which is practically inside the September candle. Not quite. It did make a slight higher high, but that's just like a technicality in a way. So at some point, this is going to resolve even lower, right? This is essentially your consolidation. You had this consolidation, which was really short, just a month. But I mean, look at this down, like just lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. So it makes sense that we're getting at least a pause. So this is MJ, just a sort of broad ETF, but they're all kind of doing this. Oh, and just to see what happened on the daily, this is when we got our low, and we're still kind of grinding. We still have an uptrend going on the daily, right? We'd really need to break below like 511 for that uptrend to be broken. I mean, truly, you're already in danger zone now, right? Once you break below that pivot, like 546. You're already starting to kind of break structure. But that's how you can kind of think of it as a last chance. And we had that big day, right? Like this whole move, this entire move has just been inside the same range from Thursday, October 6th, right? That's all, right? That day we made a high of 608 and we had a low of 469. So this whole thing has been just kind of grinding, and it's going to be a question, are we going to test that high and how do we react? Or did we already test that high? Was this the test? I mean, what we do know is this is a swing high on the daily chart, right? It's now just a question. And excuse me, we did see that it's becoming a swing high on the weekly, right? We're 2 cents below the low. That's how it works, right? The next level would be, it becomes a swing high on the monthly and then the quarterly, and you're just, you're in your long-term persistent downtrend. So once we cross below the high, the low of this candle, so that was 581. So below 581, we have our daily swing high in place. So the standout here, though, is grow generation. I mean, look at that, right? One of these is not like the other, right? We just kind of tested this area, and now, or I should say, made a move above this area, and now we've pulled back to it, right? But this is 100% move, right? This is like no joke from this low to that, right? It's 100% in like 7 trading days. So wouldn't be shocked to see this thing pull back even more, right? You can see something like that area, right? Like that seems like a long way down, but it's not even that, right? Like structurally, that would be perfectly fine, perfectly healthy. You could even see a move down to basically like $5 almost, right? That could, that could be a nice entry, right? And maybe it doesn't get there, whatever, right? Right there are always plays in the market. You don't have to necessarily chase it, but if it were to kind of come to you, that would be awesome, right? And I'm definitely going to be looking out for this one. Now, the only problem is this is in a market that is like itself not very healthy, like cannabis overall. So that is definitely a risk. But you're talking about something that has a $370 million market cap, and their guidance was for 270 million on the low end in revenue, right? So like you're like less than 2 times sales. So that gives it some juice to kind of move, right? Less than 400 million in market cap. This thing could easily get to a billion, which is more than 100%, another double up, right? So, and from this pullback level, you get even more juice, obviously, depending on what we get, and that would be nothing in terms of percentages, right? After we've already made a 100% move, and let's say call this move is $3.44. So if we come down like, right, this would be coming down like a dollar, like less than halfway for sure through the move. So that actually could work. That's interesting. And if we look at the weekly, it's just consolidating here, right? If we think about this from a cycles perspective, this would be week 4, right? So this is our low here, and then this is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and it's an inside week. That's also important to know, right? And that makes sense because of what happened on the daily, right? Where we have this big red bar that's become this wick here, right? And so that gives us very clear levels. But I would definitely want to go onto lower time frames. Like let's see on the hourly. So on the hourly, structurally you want to hold like 585, call it, right? So that gives you a decent risk reward actually there. Potentially. I mean, again, this is, and I don't know that it would hold that, right? Like again, this is like a huge move, so wouldn't be surprised to see some chop. But also, if it just keeps running, you know, you have to know how to ride a Bronco a little bit. So if you go through some of these other ones, they're all not looking as healthy. Well, I guess this one actually doesn't look as bad. True Leave is actually another standout. So that's ticker symbol TCNNF. So on the monthly chart, we are still green, but it is an inside month. Notice we're still inside this range, but that's way better than MJ or this thing. Well, actually, weed is still green on the month as well. Ticker symbol weed. Pot X is not so much. MSOS is about to go red. But looking at True Leave, if I stick on that one, that would be your cycle low, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this would be week 8. The only caution sign, though, is that this is all still inside the range of that week, right? The same way we're all still inside the range of that one day, and this is probably just one day as well. I'm assuming that kind of made this move. I mean, so it's this day here, so maybe a little bit more. But this is an interesting name as well, right? Like, if it survives a pullback to like 11, or you get a pullback to like in the $11 area, that could be interesting. So that's the picture for the cannabis stocks. We'll leave it there.